Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Moravian Text Bible study for Saturday. It is Matthew chapter 26, verse 59 through to the end, verse 75. Two parts to this. Peter disowns Jesus. I'm not going to look at that in a great detail, only to say at least Peter was there. He was the only disciple that wasn't hiding away. At least he tried to be around Jesus, maybe to offer himself as a witness in the trial, who knows. But the first part is Jesus's unjust trial, and it certainly was an unjust trial. I'll unpack why in just a moment. But I want to start with Hebrews chapter 12 verse 3. Hebrews 12 verse 3 says this: "Consider Jesus, who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart." Think about Jesus. Think about what he went through. We're going to read some of that today. You've just probably read it. And in considering it, it helps us not to grow weary and to lose heart. I think really important advice for us of how to live at this time. And this trial that Jesus faced before the Sanhedrin certainly was a false trial. It wasn't a legal trial. For a start, it was held at night. We know they took Jesus straight from the Garden of Gethsemane at night into Caiaphas's house to be tried. There was no gap, no day gap, as was the law, the tradition, to allow for anger to fall and for mercy to rise. Caiaphas wasn't even really the right high priest. Josephus, the historian, records that he had purchased his priesthood. They couldn't find any real witnesses. Such was the life of integrity that Jesus led. When two witnesses came forward, that was the law, you needed two witnesses. They came forward together, and so that their stories could harmonize, which again wasn't allowed. They misquote Jesus. They say that Jesus said, "I am able to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days." But if you look at John 2:19, Jesus says, when you destroy this temple, Pharisees, religious leaders, I will rebuild it in 3 days. So they misquote him, and of course it was clear from John 2 that he was talking about his body, the type of death that he would die, and his resurrection that would occur 3 days later. How does Jesus respond to all the injustice of what is going on? Well, he responds in line with Scripture. He's obedient to the prophecies of the Old Testament that speak of him. Like Isaiah 53 verse 7, like a sheep before its shearers is silent, he did not say a word. They say to him, "Tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God." Jesus says, "Yes, you are." And then he flips this trial on its head. He says, in the future you will see the Son of Man, that's himself, sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven. So they knew from Scripture Jesus was referring to his role as Messiah to judge all the people of the earth. He would judge these people that were judging him. At that, Caiaphas declares blasphemy, which is punishable by law, and he tears his robes again. The high priest, it says in Leviticus 21:10, was not allowed to tear his robes. They were symbolic of his priesthood, even though ordinary people in day-to-day life would tear their robes at the sound of blasphemy. They declare he's worthy of death, and verse 67 is a remarkable verse. They spat in his face. They struck him with their fists. They slapped him and said, "Prophesy to us." They mocked him. I mean, just think of this divine exchange that is taking place. Shame exchanged for glory. He takes our shame upon himself. We take his glory. Spurgeon the preacher said of this verse, "Be astonished, O heavens. His face is the light of the universe." How on earth did the Father not react to the Son being spat at and struck? And yet he embraced it. He embraced the injustice of it all so that we could have redemption. So I want to encourage you today, consider Jesus. Consider what he walked through, what he endured as we have to walk through these next few weeks together. Consider what Jesus had to walk through so that we will not grow weary and lose hope. I really encourage you to join us at 7 tonight for our time of prayer together. We want to be speaking faith and hope and peace, proclaiming it, and faith comes by hearing. So let's join together to pray together tonight.